So welcome everyone. Let's start. So we were on page 28. I think so. Yeah, this last we had done, but we'll maybe just overlap this today. So we read it again, the last bit here, page 28, and then we can take up harmony and disorders. So anyone who would like to read, please go ahead.
I could read. Is it from This Does Not?
Yes, it's from In Reality, Illness
Okay.
is Only a Disease. Yeah.
In reality, illness is only a disequilibrium. If then you are able to establish another equilibrium, this disequilibrium disappears. An illness is simply always, in every case, even when the doctors say that there are microbes, in every case, a disequilibrium in the being, a disharmony among the various functions, a disharmony among the forces. This is not to say that there are no microbes. There are. There are many more microbes than are now known. But that is not why you are ill. For they are always there. It happens that they are always there, and for days they do nothing to you. And then all of a sudden, one day, one of them gets hold of you and makes you ill. Why? Simply because the resistance was not as it usually is, because there was some disequilibrium in some part. The functioning was not normal. But if, by an inner power, you can re-establish the equilibrium, then that is the end of it. There is no more difficulty. The disequilibrium disappears. There is no other way to cure people. It is simply when you see the disequilibrium and are capable of re-establishing equilibrium that one is cured.
Yeah, so any thoughts are welcome if there are any questions or thoughts. Many a times we also see, although it may seem very trivial, but many a times we see that there are doctors or like people who we go to for healing. And somehow, at times, I'm sure all of us have experiences, at times their energy is such, like it's very comforting, loving energy, and it just relaxes. And that brings somehow a harmony back again, and one begins to feel better already, without at times taking any medicine. So this is also, although some people who are like coming from this materialist background, we may say that it's placebo or just we may be just feeling some things, but actually nothing there. But anyway, we are always feeling. We are always feeling. So either I can feel this or that. So whatever I'm open to, if I'm open to that, the greater vibration, which the healer or the doctor just, at times emanates, then also, as Mother is saying, that somehow if a greater equilibrium can be established, the lower, the disequilibrium kind of diffuses. mm. So the point is to bring this greater. Usually, we are always wondering on, for example, if I have a cold, so I'm always trying to hit at the cold, 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 cold. Like I'm looking at the lower, the disequilibrium that is there. But if I bring a greater equilibrium, not per se attending cold, like connecting the dots there, but for example, maybe invoking Mother's presence or invoking divine name, just bringing a lot of stillness and peace in the body. So I'm not directly working on cold, but I am. So we are not working on the disequilibrium, but because of that greater harmony which comes, greater equilibrium which comes, the lower one, the disequilibrium is taken care of. And all of us, I'm sure, have experiences of such sorts. Yeah, so Mother is sharing here, which is very, very like a tool we can use this, that if we are able to establish another equilibrium, like a greater one, powerful one, this equilibrium disappears. And this we also have seen, like there may be microbes, but not all everybody is affected, And Mother says that there is a crack in our envelope. That's what we were discussing last time, that the moment I have ill will, bad thoughts about somebody, about my own self, judgment, criticism, all this disturbing negativity, it as if it makes a hole in that protective cover that we usually have, the nervous envelope. So it makes us uneasy. There is a crack, and then the opening is there. So we become vulnerable. And I was wondering today, Baba Amte, he used to work with a lot of leprosy patients, if I'm not wrong. And I was just recollecting his name, and I was wondering that usually people are just running away from people who have leprosy, but he could actually work in the middle of everyone, taking care of everyone. So, what kind of a power and energy and intention that would be there? Uh, that and it's not only his case. We have seen in wars, there are nurses, there are people who are taking care of wounded, infected people. And yet, if the intention is strong and will is there, then one is taken care of. And at times, I was wondering that we want to fall in. Many a times there is an intention within, unconscious intention that maybe I would get some rest by falling in. At times we are just running around the clock all the time. So unconsciously there may be an intention of getting ill. Although I may not admit, if somebody asks me, that, but maybe you yourself wanted to get ill, but I would not admit it. But unconsciously there is an opening somewhere which somehow allows me to get ill. And vital also intervenes. So the emotional feeling aspect, when we are like wanting attention from people, that somebody who we maybe say that we love uh, doesn't really give us attention the way we would like to. At times the vital pokes in, most of the time, then it says, okay, maybe when I'm ill, then the person gives me attention. Then I become a bit the center of everybody's world. So many, many things are there which can open us to getting ill. But when the illness is there, I think that's very important. But then, for example, if because of some weakness in my part, some imperfection, and not always a disease happens because of weakness, imperfection. At times, I think Dr. Basu also shares that there are many, many forces at play. So you can't say that every time it's a weakness or imperfection. But In most cases, for us, it is. But when the illness is there, even that can be a beautiful ground to become more conscious and to take it on the path as a means to progress, to correct ourselves, to ground ourselves more deeply in our deeper being, to let go of the surface vicious loop of thoughts and feelings. So when it is there, then it can be also very fruitful if we can have the right attitude. And that also helps to maintain a new equilibrium, which Mother is sharing. So if I have a right attitude, then it will help me to create a new equilibrium in which the disequilibrium may just dissolve and wither away. Hmm. So yeah, thoughts are welcome before we move ahead to the next one.
It's like we can compare it to if we have some problem in life, some pain, and we are just thinking about it. And then there's another bigger problem which comes, then we stop thinking about the smaller problem.
Very true, yes. Hmm.
So would this hold true for, like, this is for illnesses? So let's say about accidents. Somebody had an accident, and then again we can establish equilibrium even in the case of an accident also.
So for accidents, Mother has spoken something. It would be nice to go through that. So Mother usually says that usually accidents are a way to make us conscious. So unconsciously, I may be just, for example, say I'm walking, and I'm just unconsciously walking, lost in my thoughts. I have no idea where my foot is being put, forward. It's like an unconscious mechanical walking. And suddenly my foot goes into a whatever crater or like a hole, and I fall down, and immediately I realized that, oh, where was I lost? So although it hurt me, not the best way to become conscious, but if I can open my eyes, then that where was I lost? Why didn't I see what was in front of me? So Mother says that accidents usually are a way to make us conscious. And of course, if a disequilibrium is there, because of my unconsciousness, and as you said, we can establish harmony there also. It would depend case to case, you know, like lots of practical experiments need to be done on our own self in our life so that we know what works, what doesn't. Yeah. If anything else,
Yeah,
so
just a
inner
small
power.
comment. Like,
Please. Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it's like I've seen, especially when I was younger and I used to take, say, go to the hospital or the clinic with the elderly person. I have seen that they feel really well if the doctor just hears them out. You know how some doctors are very rush while others have that, that yes, tell me, what is happening today? And suddenly I would feel a shift, as if something just by that comment or that presence happened. So, my mom used to say that maybe it's like, we owed something to the doctor. So now that we have paid their fee or something, some kind of balance has been established. But this was like really interesting that how just that equilibrium probably was provided or some harmony, that thing was balance was re-established because it's usually like, just it wasn't and it is. It wasn't like it felt pretty drastic. So it was very visual for me when, yeah, it was being read. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just going to move forward then. So I was just yeah, on the way going down, it just occurred inner power. Many a times I was sharing that at times some part of me wants to fall in, and there we lose our empowerment. And we have to re-establish that empowerment within and know that if I really wish to be well again, I can be well quickly also. And again, it would depend case to case, but in many little things of day-to-day life, we can reduce the course of, for example, say tonsillitis or throat issues, common cold, fever, influenza, these kind of things which are like commonly there. We can reduce the duration that the disease takes to fully go off if we develop and re-establish this power within that. No, I want to be well and I want to work, whatever work, good work that we have given ourselves. So that really helps because mostly we are so drained in our emotional entanglements that I have seen that at times one may just say that nobody gives me attention, okay. Not consciously, at times unconsciously. So there we lose our power. So, but if by an inner power, you can re-establish the equilibrium, and when I'm disempowered, then nothing in me wants to establish the equilibrium. Like, ठीक ही तो है, like, it's okay. I'm ill and I don't want to be okay. Some part of being resists. So, if that inner power is there and we can re-establish the equilibrium, then she says that's the end of it. There is no more difficulty and the disequilibrium disappears. So again, easier said than done, but those of us who have, like Taru was sharing, like who have experimented, observed, only then our, thesis becomes stronger. So practical experiments are very, very necessary here. Okay, so let's take this on. Harmony and disorders. So anyone who would like to read is welcome to read.
Harmony and disorder. Are illnesses and accidents the result of something bad one has thought or done, of a fall in one's consciousness? If the cause is a mistake one has made, how can one find out what it is? The mother, it has nothing to do with punishment. It is the natural and normal consequence of an error, shortcoming, or fault, which necessarily has consequences. Actually, everything in the world is a question of equilibrium or disequilibrium, of harmony or disorder. Vibrations of harmony attract and encourage harmonious events. Vibrations of disequilibrium create, as it were, a disequilibrium in circumstances, illnesses, accidents, etc. This may be collective or individual, but the principle is the same, and so is the remedy. To cultivate in oneself order and harmony, peace and equilibrium by surrendering unreservedly to the divine will.
So on this, I'm reminded, Mother talks about this, that if a little bit of disharmony in my being or somebody else's intentions of ill will and thoughts and disturbed feelings, if that can create disharmony, then good thoughts and good positive prayers and vibrations can also create back a greater harmony. So on this, Mother says that at times she has seen that many accidents were prevented because attitude of one of the fellow in that collective, like an aeroplane is there. And uh, most of the people may be in fear and anxiety and panic, but if only one person has a very strong intention and faith, unshakable faith, and like is praying for the wellness of all, so that creates a very strong vibration, which we were reading earlier, which takes care of the lower vibration. And Mother says that at many times, we don't know how many times actually accidents are prevented because of this. Accidents may happen also because of this. Some disharmony, as she shares, some disequilibrium somewhere, some ill will, some bad thoughts, greater like intense vibration of that, or can be also prevented. So such is the power of what she shares towards the end. Such is the power of peace, equilibrium by surrendering unreservedly to the divine will. So we have to see that that's the possibility we have. If we see that, oh, what is happening in the world, there is everything is going haywire, people are so consumerist, and this is happening, that is happening, all that we read in the news, all that we don't read is in the news, that also is happening. So if we can spread that kind of a contagion of faith, contagion of unshakability in divine will, surrender to the divine will. That also spreads just like the virus spreads. We don't know. Many a times we don't even get to know because हमें क्या है, we have taken good things for granted. So when things are good, when sun is rising every day and setting every day, then we don't thank. We don't know how many forces are at play to create and maintain, like Vishnuji maintains, the equilibrium. We don't know how many forces are at play. And if something happens, then it scatters away. Just like we see with our bodies. Every day we have a healthy body. Nobody thanks for it. Rarely we do that, really deeply. That, oh, how lucky I am to be in a healthy body, healthy intellect, healthy mind, heart is good, everything is taken care of. So we don't know that what little forces are making this equilibrium possible. And if one day suddenly something happens and we see that we are taken in. So just like that, if we can spread the force and power of uh, surrender to the divine will, and again and again invoking divine presence for our own self and for everyone, that may everyone be taken care of, may everyone be having good intentions, may everyone be able to change their ill will into goodwill. So that, or any kind of prayer, good prayer, deep prayer, full of good intention, that can also, not can actually, it does its work, which at times may not come in news, because news, we have all the stupid things coming, sad things happening here and there, but we don't see the positive things. Rarely do we see in newspapers, which are also happening. Every day, people are getting up from their bed and giving a start to their new day. That doesn't get published because that we take for granted. That look, today billions of people woke up looking at the sun. They had, a good start to the day. That doesn't get published. Such is our condition. We have a taste for such kind of sad things. That's why it gets published and more people buy it. So that taste has to change. Yeah, anything here? Anyone?
So, like here, it's talking about the collective will. So, it's something like we have this Mahamrityunjay part, wherein when somebody is really critically ill, and collectively people chant that to make that person get out of that bad time.
Yeah. I think मुझे लगता है many a times we are now again if I'm surrendering to the divine will, although I may be doing the mantra in which whoever I have faith in, like Mahamrityunjay or any other mantra, but if there is true surrender, somehow I have not been able to say that. So, for example, if somebody is ill, and if there is true surrender, although you may invoke that the best may happen, but I don't know what is the best. So that comes again and again to me. I'm just wondering out with you that if somebody is ill, and so to me it feels that the success of this mantra is when the person gets okay. But what if the larger plan is not that the person should get okay, but something else, which gets taken care of through that process? So that comes to me when you just shared this, that if I'm doing a part for somebody, some mantra, some chanting, and I'm wanting because of my attachment or love or whatever, I'm wanting that person to be well again, then only I say that, oh, this mantra has worked for me. But the question is that how do we know that is what in this condition now that I'm chanting for somebody, how do I know that that is what the divine will is? So in that case, if I notice that, then I would be able to leave my bias aside and I would still do the chanting, because it purifies me, it makes the surrounding pure and it makes us ingathered. So I would still do the chanting, but then I would leave the result. Like I would offer the person uh, to, okay, whatever you deem fit. You know.
But see, here it's talking about that we are ill and there's a disequilibrium, so we should consciously establish an equilibrium
Yes,
to remove
yes.
that illness. So here also the aim is to remove the illness, but maybe that illness in the longer run has some good for us, which we are not able to see right now, but we are still trying to remove the illness.
Yeah. So I mean, it would work context to context. So I was just taking that mantra wala part, but of course, matlab, in day-to-day life, whenever we fall ill, then if we can take care of that re-establishment of that equilibrium, which all of us, I'm sure, practice with, experiment with, most of the time it can be taken care of. But at times, I'm saying that I'm not sure, just wondering out that I'm not sure that getting well for the person for whom I'm doing the chanting, we don't know whether that's what the divine will is. That's what the larger plan is. So yet the mantra may still have worked because that gave me the highest possible attitude. It may still have worked. But I would wonder, I would be in doubt that, oh, I think it did not work. What went wrong? Because the person did not get well. So yeah, I'm just bringing that into picture because that can also, at times in some situations happen. Yeah. And to a analytical, logical mind from which we usually come, it appears very like weird. Like, okay, I am chanting, and you are saying that the result also may not be positive, according to me, and still I chant. I mean, what's the point? So, the logical point may, the mind may actually just totally discard it. But then, if we have a deeper heart, if connection with our deeper heart, then we would know. I think that knowing all of us have that yes, I am chanting, it is making me purified, it is sanctifying the environment, and yet I don't know, and may thy will be done and not mine. है ना वो knowing भी हम सब में है. It may happen at times that we are in that knowing, and at times because of our attachment we are not, but that is there 24/7 with us. Yeah, so that was just like a bifurcation that I was extrapolating on that. Yeah. Yeah, anyone else? Anything on this? Okay, so assuming nothing at the moment. So this we can try this at times whenever we see that there is some disharmony in the surrounding because of fear, anxiety, panic. If we want to experiment, I think also it's very important that in the day-to-day life when things are relatively okay, there also the practice continues because that gives me stability and continuity. So that in a difficult situation also, it's like my first go-to. The first go-to is invoking mother's presence. Why? Because in my day-to-day life also, that's what my first go-to is. So otherwise, it's like very difficult that it, although it may of course happen depending on the situation, but it's very difficult that uh, getting rid of the fear, I may just go to the first go-to, which is surrendering unreservedly to the divine will, invoking divine presence. That may not be my first go-to. In the first thing would be like fear, anxiety, panic, believing what others are saying, doubting, confusion. But if I, like Kabir ji says, you know, सुख में सुमिरन ना किया, दुख में करते याद, कहे कबीर तादास की कौन सुने फरियाद. And then he says that सुख में सुमिरन जो करे तो दुख काहे का होए. So, and the dukh happens because we get disconnected from our deeper source. That's why dukh happens. And the moment we are connected, even in the middle of a very chaotic situation, if I'm connected, then nothing really, everything else is secondary. If I'm deeply, truly connected. So that can become my practice. That has to become my practice, like day to day practice, not only just in difficult situations, but also day to day. So that really, and then when a difficult situation comes, then I'm even more excited that, like now I would maybe get a chance to experiment further. So I feel that it's very adventurous when we are experimenting, practicing, and then when a difficult situation happens, then you try to invoke that stillness and peace and divine presence and also stabilize yourself and others around inwardly. And that would be an experiment, what happened and what did not happen. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Okay, so we can, acha, this was not fully over. So we can take this further. Harmony and disorder. Yeah. So anyone who would like to read is welcome to read.
Yeah, I'll go. Let us say a group of cells break down for some reason or other. There are countless reasons. They submit to disorder, obey the disorder, and a particular point becomes sick according to the ordinary view of illnesses. But that intrusion of disorder makes itself felt everywhere. It has repercussions everywhere. Wherever there is a point that is weaker or less resistant to attack, it manifests. Take someone who is in the habit of getting a headache or a toothache or a cough or neuralgic, neuralgic pains, whatever, a host of little things like that which come and go, increase and decrease. But if there is an attack of disorder somewhere, a serious attack, all these little troubles reappear instantly here, there, there. It is a fact I have observed. And the opposite movement follows the same pattern. If you are able to bring to the attacked spot the true vibration, the vibration of order and harmony, and you stop the disorder, all the other things are put back in order as if automatically. Should I carry on? And it is
Uh,
not through
yes.
contagion. It is not that, for instance, the blood carries the illness here or there. That isn't it. It is almost like a spirit of imitation. But the truth is that the harmony that keeps everything together has been attacked. It has succumbed. And so everything is disrupted, each thing in its own way and according to its own habit. It is something I have observed on the level of the body's cells hundreds and hundreds of times. And then you no longer have at all that mental impression of one disorder added to another, which makes the problem more difficult. That isn't it at all. It is, if you get to the center, all the rest will be naturally restored to order, and that is a fact. If order is restored at the center of disorder, everything follows naturally without your paying it any special attention.
So beautiful, really. So powerful, so beautiful, and so detailed. And would be an observation, when we are reading the mother, it feels like, yes, 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 what you're saying is true, true, true. But yeah, every time we read something like this, and for those of us who have observed themselves closely, and have a habit of being with oneself and observing, I think this would be really, we can vouch for it. So mother is saying, yeah, please tell, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like today, the whole reading, it's one thing is coming to me again and again, that it's like as if the whole outside and a lot inside me is trying to always take me towards lack, right? This is missing. This is what I lack. This is not enough. This needs more perfection, more working. Like the center of operation is that I'll do this and I'll become more. And one thing that I have to stick to is the gratefulness, right? The thing that I already have. So if I operate from lack, anything, any materialistic gain, any financial, any mental, any relationships that I enter, if my center of being is approaching that thing from lack, it will just pull more lack. And then that would even become more frustrating that I've done so much. I do so much and yet more lack. Like, why is God so cruel? So, similarly, I attract that, right? And if I say that I already have, and now I play, now okay, let me try this, okay, that interests me. But the center is already complete and offered. So then again, the whole thing is very reflective in what we just read, that it's just where you are sitting. Based on that, you'll attract whatever is around you. Yeah, thank you.
Hmm, true, very true. So again, we have to know that what we are reading right now is illnesses in yoga, because in day-to-day ordinary half conscious, unconscious, uh, the way we live. Uh, we are not this conscious the way we are becoming right now. Looking at things so closely, like becoming a scientist towards our own being, life, how things happen. You know, so this is not the usual way that we live. We have to see, although this has to become more and more widespread, and that's happening. Like more of us are waking up to our own self and looking more closely at our own being. But usually we are not aware, and neither do we want to become aware because we are so lost in things that we consider important in life. This and that, and property and wealth, and you know, whatever. There are so many things that we worry about while we live. Although that may not be the most important thing, but for us, that's the most important thing. Marriage, kids, and all that. They are the most important. Celebrating festivals like they're supposed to be celebrated. So if our whole attention is so outward, we can't really appreciate what comes out of these words. But it's only that's why the pain and suffering has to come. I mean, there is no other way that I wake up to my own self because I'm so lost in the so-called mundane and trivial, which is for me not mundane and trivial. That's where I live. But now it's like a different life altogether that opens up in front of you when you become like my whole being has now become an experiment. And like a scientist, explorations are happening. So this is very, very, again, very, very powerful. I think mostly we underestimate the power of this going to the root, like the center of it, and establishing a deep peace, stillness, and power there, so that the small, small little things that crop up alongside, because the whole being is full of weaknesses, and wherever it finds a weaker spot, it aches there, it pains there. So like Mother is sharing that something else may trigger it, but then all the weaker parts begin to imitate, like imitation, like we can see that when we go to a clean place, we see that nobody is throwing litter. We imitate. We also don't throw litter. But I have seen people here, you may be living in whatever country out there in the globe, but the moment you come back to India, as if like all your waste sorting and management, it just goes bonkers. Like you don't bother. And I wonder why is that so? While and again, like Mother says, we imitate. So, and not only imitate, I think there's also, but that's a different matter. So conditioning that here, सब कुछ चलता है, but there one has to, of course, do things as per. But again, we can have our own discipline anywhere we go. But usually, since things work by imitation, so if there is a place where it's written silent, silent zones, mobile switched off, so we imitate each other. We see that, oh, people are silent here. Let me also be silent. Oh, everybody is putting their phone there. Let me also. So we are imitating. So here, Mother says that uh, it gets through by imitation. That's where, yes, yeah, spirit of imitation. Yes. So it's not through contagion, but imitation. Like each cell, whoever is falling sick, ill, paining, the others are imitating. So wherever there are weaker spots, that imitation starts. And we are full of them. That ripple spreads, and many, many things in the body may get affected, the weaker part. So if I notice that happening, and if I can establish a true harmony, and for that one needs to be unconsciously or consciously on path of yoga, in the sense that I may not say that I am doing yoga, but my discipline in life is such that I am doing yoga, although I'm not labeling it as yoga. There are people, we all know, there are people who may live like sadhus, but they would not say that I am a sadhu. So it doesn't mean that uh, people who know they are on a spiritual path are the ones only on the spiritual path, and the ones who don't know but have that bent and attitude, they may not say it, but they still are doing the yoga. So, but that doesn't matter. The label doesn't matter. So if we are truly conscious and even if half conscious, we can see that this is a very big power that Mother is unleashing in front of us. That look what you can do, how much you can experiment. So if you get to the center, if you get to the center, all the rest will be naturally restored to order. So हमें वहाँ पे वो tit bit करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Like, one example which comes to me here is that imagine there is an audience hall, like a big amphitheater where many people are waiting for something to happen. And then there are monitors who are like with their danda and sticks, like, okay, quieten down, the speaker is going to come. Every row they are quietening down, but still people are chattering away. And suddenly, like, the person comes who is to speak, and he's a yogi, she or he may be a yogi, and the person emanates such a strong vibration that the moment he enters, the whole hall is still. So there is no need of monitors then. The center changed, the center shifted. So each one of us would intuitively get to know how to work with that shifting, what Taru was hinting at, the shifting of the center. Because if you solidify that right center and not focus on what is wrong wherever in the body, then automatically that is taken care of because a deeper harmony has come. So, and this is a fact. It's not like some theory Mother is giving. It's a fact. If order is restored at the center of disorder, everything follows naturally. Now, again, we can extrapolate what the center of disorder may be. It may start with some emotional lack, some mental lack, some lack at the level of body, some weakness, malnutrition. If at the center the peace and stability is restored, then everything like follows like a tail without you paying it special attention. So there is no need then to look at the little things which are not okay everywhere. You've taken care of the center of the thing, and that has spread the harmony everywhere. And again, this is for those of us who want to really experiment with all this. But it's very powerful. Hmm. And I would say that, so many rushes to the doctor, like we do in the very first instance, something happens, we rush to the doctor. It happens because we have gotten disconnected with our intuitive intelligence. So if we want, we can re-establish that. And yeah, although at times the doctor may be needed, but there are many things which we can do sitting and not rushing, running here and there. By sitting, I don't mean you have to sit and do this. Of course, lying down, standing, cooking, anywhere it can happen. But yeah, without wanting to panic and be anxious. So this is very good. Yeah. Very powerful and worth experimenting, definitely, if people are interested and serious about this. Serious means like they want to out of joy. Yeah. So I was thinking at this point that we can also take, again, just a possibility, a little bit of, now it comes to types and causes of disequilibrium. So in Alokda's book that I had shared, The Veda of the Body, just a second. There also there is a chapter on Yes. Yeah. So here there was a chapter, if I'm not wrong, on how health is a very dynamic equilibrium. We don't know how many things are in shape. We have no clue how the digestion is working properly, respiration has no problem, heart is working fine. So how health is a very dynamic equilibrium. So this is also beautiful wonder that is the body. And then where is it? Yeah, this one. Health, a dynamic equilibrium. So either those of us who are interested, they can go through the chapter themselves. It's a good chapter. That's how, yeah. Thank you, Claudia. Yes, so yeah, I'm not sure whether we want to take this up because, yeah. And then he talks about illness. I think this we took a little bit in the beginning at some paragraph. We discussed this illness and inner disequilibrium. Yeah, I think these points also we came across. Mm. Yeah, so just sharing this with all of us that those of us who are interested may, if they want, they can go through it. And for today, maybe we can, yeah, I think we can maybe take up not the complete one, it's a longer one, but just this last page, page number 31. Page number 31, types and one, yes, types and causes of disequilibrium. So we can take this bit up. There is still a little bit of time. Yeah, so if anyone feels inclined, please go ahead.
Types and causes of disequilibrium. The mother. I have told you that all illnesses, all whatever they may be, I would add even accidents, come from a break in equilibrium. That is, if all your organs, all the members and parts of your body are in harmony with one another, you are in perfect health. But if there is the slightest imbalance anywhere, immediately you get either just a little ill or quite ill, even very badly ill, or else you have an accident. It is always when there is an inner imbalance. But then, to the equilibrium of the body, you must add the equilibrium of the vital and the mind. For you to be able to do all kinds of things with immunity, without any accident happening to you, you must have a triple equilibrium: mental, physical, and not only in each of the parts, but also in the three parts in their mutual relations. If you have done a little mathematics, you should have been taught how many combinations that makes and what a difficult thing it means. There lies the key to the problem. For many combinations are innumerable, and consequently, the causes of illnesses are also innumerable. The causes of accidents also are innumerable. Still, we are going to try to classify them so that we may understand.
Yeah, so thank you. Actually, this is what we had touched upon earlier when we had read the Veda of the body, illness and inner disequilibrium, where Dr. Alok Pandey was sharing about in how many ways the disequilibrium can happen. So I think it's a good point. We will retouch that also and take this from the mother. So this was so hilarious. So it's like, those of us who are good at maths, I'm sure all of us are, apart from me. Mental, vital, physical. So there are three parts, and mother is saying that if you have done a little mathematics, then you would know in permutation combinations, how they would be a mental, vital, mental, physical, and then physical, vital, physical, mental. Then yeah, you would know. So that's what she is sharing, that there's so many combinations and the harmony needs to be there at each level. And that's why innumerable causes of illnesses are there, which at times, of course, we don't even get to know because so many places loopholes can happen. Yeah. Mm. And mother says, I remember, not exactly, but mother says that people who are very satisfied with the material life, it is best not to like shake them or poke them in the sense that, what are you doing with your life, and is this the way life is to be lived, or is this the purpose of human birth? So mother says that it's better not to disturb people who are very well settled in the material life, because that can actually cause a problem. I see that reflection here, because that would create a disequilibrium. Otherwise, everything is settled in the material consciousness, like however one is living, self-satisfied. So there is health also, which is being maintained. But yeah, if we poke too much, then disharmony may happen, disequilibrium may happen.
But then won't that disequilibrium be good only?
Yeah, depends, at times we are not that easy with shifting our attitude. You would have seen. So things may happen, which for someone, like the same illness, for someone may be a very progressive thing in life, like, wow, thank God for this illness that I woke up. But for the other person whose attitude is still like in the material life, many a times, of course, you're right, at times it may just cause a shift also altogether. But I may just keep on just cribbing and complaining that, why did it have to happen? So attitude may not change. We see it happening around us all the time, that people who are very much materialist consciousness, very happy with the way things are, like shopping around and just involved in the day-to-day affairs and being satisfied there. For them, if illness happens and something like, which for a yoga person may be like a big thing on the path, and he may actually use that as a stepping stone. But for the other person, it may just be like a trouble, like why did it happen? Why did it happen to me? So many times we don't shift our attitude that easily. But of course, that can also obviously happen, that it becomes a way towards my opening. Yeah. Okay, so I think so I don't have anything more to share here. I think we'll take the latter half next time, because it is a longer one, many points to be taken up. And for now, we can wind up here. And if there are last reflections, comments, they are welcome. Okay, so assuming there is nothing, just taking a last moment before we leave the session. sharing, dedicating all the merit, all the virtue of understanding, merit of collective reflection, and reading Mother's words, Sri Aurobindo's words, sharing the merit with all the sentient beings, distributing the merit with all sentient beings, and may all of us, our hearts may be at peace, may our minds be simple, uncomplicated, and may we have lots of joy, contentment, and progress in life. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining, listening,
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
thank you. Bye.